Hi, hello. My name is Risto Vahenurm, and I believe that BIM is a state of mind. And yes, as first rows already have seen, this is written on my shirt. There is a story with the shirt, and I would like to share with you the story. A few weeks ago, we had a digital construction conference in Estonia as well. This is called BIM Summit Estonia, and we have held it since 2016. And this year, for some reason, it was different. It was different because we got really good feedback. And if you know Estonians, they will never give you good grades. Never. 1 to 10, you will never get 9. Never get 10. And yes, we had good food. We had the coolest venue what you can get in Tallinn, but something was wrong. It was too good to be true. And what we did, we asked feedback what happened, and the answer was that all of those 3 years what we have done this event, people have gathered this information from these events, and they have started implement all of this knowledge what they have gathered from these events. And they are really eager for new knowledge, new information. They want to communicate, they want to have even more and more. And this is the point where we realize that these kind of events, what are going on right here at this point of time, are really, really important. So thank you for the organizers for that, and even more thankful is that you are here, because at the end of the day, if you get this knowledge, if you put it into action as well, you are the ones who have the power to make the change and take us forward. So yeah, thank you for that. Okay, but today we're gonna talk about data, and I would like to ask, could you sign me, besides Michael, who are building owners in this room, or developers? Are there any? Michael? Okay, there are a few. However, as we talk about lifecycle BIM view today, I really hope that you can also take something with you to take your ideas forward and also implement in your daily work. And today we are going to talk about why and how to focus on collecting data based on needs. And to make this clear, I'm borrowing one slide from CoBuilder, and just to define what is information. So by information, we talk about, or I'm gonna talk about in the context of geometry, data, and documentation, and all kinds of sorts of integrations beside all of these three parts. Let's think about BIM uses. There are many BIM uses what you can use BIM for. For each one of you, there is your own BIM, so to speak. So you can use BIM for better design. So you can use BIM for more efficient construction. But today I'm going to take the view of talking about BIM and facility management. So what if we would use BIM for facility management as such? Let's look about the data. This is quite logical. At first we have some small parts of data, all of this geometry, different data outside of the model. We have different documentation. And at the end of the project, at the end of the handover, what you can see on your right, you have a huge amount of data, documentation, and so on. And about the clients, there are different questions, different desires, different purposes, what you ask from the sector to deliver you, and all of these are really okay. For example, you might hear that, please deliver me BIM, just BIM, this is okay. Deliver me COBI, and let's make a paperless project. what is not okay and where we have some kind of we have miscommunication is what we actually mean by those terms. And this is what I would like to highlight as well. So for example, let's take the expectation when we follow the route that we will take the facility management as our purpose. So sometimes, in some cases, you might find it that if the client expects that as-is model will fix some of your facility management issues, then just magically, just like that, it doesn't really happen. So what really happens is that when you have an as-is model and you are the client, then after that you have a reduction process where you actually have to manage the data, process data, and make it available for your own needs. It was really nice to have Michael just before me, and he just highlighted the special needs what he had. So yes, there's a lot more work to do and to put together the special solution for your needs. So for example, what can happen, or really good quote, I think it's, as it's 33%, it's come from the UK, because they had this goal, but you wouldn't like to be in the situation where even if you required OpenBIM, and it said that here are your IFC files and perfect Gobi spreadsheet, and your maintenance budget is already cut by 33%, let's now go save the planet. We have done our job. So this is actually the problem, that expectations don't match with reality. And coming back to the topic, so why we need to make clear about the data needs is to make our best. Okay? To make our best to make those expectations actually match reality, or at least as much as possible. So this is why we need data needs. So how? It's pretty simple actually. It's really simple. So there are a few steps. First, identification of owner's real goal. It can be, for example, let's increase buildings energy efficiency by 10%. It's really ambitious goal, or sounds great, and yes, let's follow this. And after that, you have to set information needs, which might be usually you look into frequent activities. For example, if there are frequent maintenance activities of different devices, you would probably need to look into this. Or if you are a shopping mall, or if you are office building and your tenants will change quite often, then you probably want to have this kind of information right next to you most of the time. And yeah, later you also, of course, there is a supervisor is needed, but we don't go into that today. But as I said, it's rather simple. It doesn't mean necessarily that this is easy, because we deal with people here. I'll give you a little bit of background of what is going on in Estonia, and I'm going to share what we have done, what is our current state, and this topic actually, to have as-is model built and what happens now, is the hottest topic in Estonia at the moment. So it all started in 5th of July 2017, when we had kind of small Estonian mandate. It's not the mandate what is required by law. It doesn't have a really specific end date, but this mandate actually requires that all of the public clients, the biggest public clients, will require BIM in their projects, and they start today, from this day, 5th of July, they promised they will start to require BIM, and they start with BIM pilots. Yeah, you can see all of the biggest actors in Estonia to sign it with the minister, and also a month later, all of the Rail Baltica teams, RB Rail and also RB Estonia, joined with this. So in Estonia we are connecting with Rail Baltica teams as well. So it's all about the buildings and the infrastructure, both. Okay, it went too quickly. Okay, and last April 2018, the state real estate has had their BIM requirements for buildings already 10 years. Last April 2018, when we really talk about the data, they had the first time levels of data needs included in their set of requirements. So they have overall requirements, but they also have data requirements. And I would like to share with you the case study, what we have done with the Port of Tallinn. And this is about setting those needs, setting those requirements that I just highlighted to you. So first of all, what was the goal of this project? The goal of this project was to identify the most used data, and this is from facility management perspective. The second one was the reason that they wanted to have this data ready when they start procuring the facility management system. Their case was that they really don't have facility management system. They have different kinds of tools, but they don't have any of the huge facility management system, for example, Archibus or something like this. But it didn't stop them. They just wanted to have the data ready. As soon as they have the software, they can manage it. And the third one was OpenBIM. So it has to be, have to use OpenBIM principles. Okay, and what we did was workshops and plain language questions. If you are not aware of plain language questions, then basically in human language it means, please tell me as clearly as possible what you need. And that's it. So, for example, with the Port of Harbor case, we had workshops with different departments, development department, energy, facility management, IT department, and many other actors in this organization, individual actors. And we started to ask questions. People started to ask questions. Between departments, they started to ask questions. And that turned out pretty good, in my opinion, and we had really great brainstorm sessions. And the state real estate requirements that we had was the basis, so it helped us a lot in this journey. So I give a credit to them for a really great work. And what was really important requirement as well was that we focused on data and not the information. By that I mean that one thing is to make clear what you need, and other is that it would be in machine-readable form, so you don't have to process it anymore or make this process minimal as possible with the knowledge you have today. Okay, I don't go into too detail with this, but you can check this out from State Real Estate page. If you didn't mark it up right now, then you can get the slides perhaps at the end. And this is currently Port of Tallinn's example, but I will just want to give you the idea how it's built up. So basically, this is quite easy. The classification or the structure is using IFC entities, and there are 5 main blocks of information. So there are architectural, construction, and 3 MIP blocks. So in here, let's take it. Let's take the IFC beam, or just a beam element in architecture, and this table shows you that on what stages, in the middle there are stages, on what stages you have to deliver the model, the geometry, and if you want to look what kind of data this model has to include or have to connect with this, you have to click on those green spreadsheets on your right. And this describes the level of information need on the element level. So this is basically how it's built up. In Estonia, we don't have load levels for geometry as such, because we really haven't needed them on this really detailed level yet. So basically, it has worked out itself already during the process. So we basically follow quite logically the steps from schematic design until the as-built design. And this has worked today, but perhaps in the future we have to make this better. One example, this is one of the MIP parts. This is how it looks like. Might look really boring, as Michael said. There's nothing fancy in here, nothing what you can show to your C-level executives. But basically, if you take some ventilation device, yeah, everything what I just told for architecture, it applies here as well. And let's click on one of those orange buttons, and this is how it looks like. This is where the data is hidden, this is what the client wants. And yeah, it might seem very extensive at first, but this was the result of all of those brainstorming sessions. And there are 23 parameters in here. And that actually shows that, yeah, if this is ventilation device, what kind of data has to be connected or included with this ventilation device throughout all the life cycle when this device is generated, and later at the end there's going to be some kind of output, some kind of digital twin, and like Michael said, it's not known really well what it might be in the future, and that's not the point. The point is that it would work and help your services. So remarks from this workshop. What we discovered that this data needs, what we did with the Port of Harbor and those many departments, turned out to be really extensive, even more specific than state real estate current example that they had from the last year. So we custom-made many parts, and all the MIP element data was basically mapped from the scratch. So today we are in an Estonian situation where we try to make a standard out of it. So, and yeah, like already said, standard, then probably in the future we have one set of overall data needs for everyone in Estonia, and my personal opinion, you will not escape from different buildings, because every building is different, every need is different, so you're going to have these specific sets of data connected to every different building in the future. Yeah, just to illustrate it, this machine-readable point that I wanted to bring out is that the state real estate need was a little bit different. They just wanted to collect at this point of time. They wanted to test how it is possible and is the industry possible to deliver this information, and they didn't make it too complicated. So, for example, technical characteristics about this element is included all in one cell. But if you think about machine-readable world, machine wants to have every parameter in its own cell. So that's also one of the reasons why the work got so extensive, that we started, like, what's the difference between the state real estate was 8 parameters, and Port of Tallinn, for the same device, it turned out to be 23 parameters. Okay. So lessons. First, make sure that project members will understand the goal. This is the most crucial part. For example, in this BIM summit that we had the biggest discussion. We just had to stop the discussions and conversations about this topic. And one of the discussion was that state real estate and Port of Tallinn started to say that, yeah, mine prospect is perhaps better, or perhaps you are too strict with all of those requirements. But actually, yeah, we had to stop them and say that actually they are both right. They both just had different goal, they both had different purpose, and this is really okay to have different set of requirements. And if that is clear, it is also better for the whole construction chain or all delivery chain who needs to bring you this data at the end of the day. The second one, make sure the project members understand acronyms. One other example with a big telco company lately, it was last week, they needed really specific data really early on in the project before the procurement, and they had discussions and they wrote in, we would like to have, let's say, just example, lot 200. And the industry chain was, whoa, we are not going to deliver it. And the question was, and what was the reason? The question was, they were not familiar. They understood the lot 200 in this context, totally different than the client was asking. And when the client explained what they need for this stage, because for them it was really, really crucial, they needed to play this out before they go into the next stage, then the client just explained in simple Estonian or English, I don't know which it was, but they understood at the end of the day each other. So if you don't understand acronyms, just don't use them. In different cultural rooms, they might be different. Get as many people on board as possible. This is by the means that people who want to be on board, who have their opinion about the data, who will give you the value. This worked on this specific case. Listen and trust data users. This is something what the startup world is good at and highlighting all the time. You should go to the customer. In this case, you should go to the data users and listen to their need. And that goes, in that context, it goes to the Port of Tallinn, not specifically all of those users, what Michael noticed, because if you go to too many people, then you might be in trouble as well. You cannot satisfy everyone's private wishes. Okay, in Estonian we have a great saying, if you cannot make it all, just start and perhaps make the half. So start small, it doesn't, you don't have to fill in the whole Kobe at first. Identify and ask data what you really need. This is the morale question. If you, for example, in state real estate example, if they would ask a whole bunch of data and in some line they indicate to their designers, their contractors, that they are not actually using this in near term, then you might think what will happen with the whole morale of filling in all of those and delivering this data. So this is really, really crucial. And don't forget the common sense. So it's really easy to go into the gaming mode, so like the computer gamers. So at the end of the day, it's a common sense. Okay. Thank you very much.